It always starts the same. A post with no upvotes, a username you've never seen, a wall of text you almost scroll by, but something about it catches your eye. Maybe it's the tone. Maybe it's the way they talk like no one's listening. You start reading, just out of curiosity, and then it hits you. This isn't a rant, it's not bait, it's the collapse of a person. Quiet, personal, and disturbingly real. There's something uniquely haunting about watching a person come undone on a public forum. No edits, no hindsight, just raw thought pouring out into the void. Sometimes these people vanish. Sometimes they go too far. But they always leave something behind. A thread, a trail, or a digital mark that makes you wonder what the hell just happened. And in today's video, we are getting into some deranged Reddit users. Not the kind that shout for attention, but the ones who unravel so gradually, you don't even realize how far they've fallen until it's too late. And before we get into it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps more than you know. Let's begin. Spontaneous H. This one's about a Reddit user who fell down a rabbit hole so deep it swallowed him whole. And the wild part, he documented the entire thing on Reddit for the whole world to see. It was created back in 2009, and even in the earliest days, there was just something off. No casual posts, no memes, no, hey, I'm new here. Just one strange post that ended up being the first step in a long descent into madness. The post read, I did heroin yesterday. I'm not a drug user and have never done anything besides pot back when I was a teen. Ask me anything. This is a little long. I've never been a drug user. I drink once in a while and smoked pot years ago, back when I was a teen in high school a few times, and that's it. I'm 24 now, have a master's and a well-paying full-time job. Yesterday, I was walking through Washington Square Park where I pass every day, and there are always people there looking to sell drugs. Not in the park anymore due to cameras, but it is well known you can meet a dealer there and do the transaction elsewhere these days. They usually don't solicit drugs to you unless you stop to stand around near one of them for some reason or you look like you're looking for something. Yesterday, I happened to stop by a row of benches to check some messages on my phone when a dealer on the bench to my right asked me if I need anything. My life has been pretty boring the last few years, and I feel like I haven't really lived, taken any risks, or done anything crazy, so I figured, what the hell, maybe I'll buy some pot. It's been a while. I said yeah, and after asking me several times if I'm a cop, he gives me his number and tells me to meet him at a fast food place several blocks away and he will hook me up. I say alright and nervously check to make sure I have cash and go meet this shady looking dude. We sit down and after hounding me asking if I'm a cop, he asks what I need. I tell him I just want a dime bag and he says something like, nah, sorry man, I only sell half ounces. You can take that and I've got some Coke and H. At this point, I didn't want to buy half an ounce of pot. I probably never smoked more than an eighth in my life, but then I started considering his last word, heroin. I've heard so much about it and how crazy addictive it is, and seen it in the movies and TV. I'm thinking The Wire here, one of my favorite shows, and it really started to intrigue me. I've always wondered what it would be like to do heroin. Out of nowhere, I say I'll take the H, and we do the deal there. I give him the cash under the table, and he slides me a small order of fries with a little stamped wax baggie in it, then he tells me to let him leave first. I put it in my pocket, then nervously race home, my heart racing, cannot believing what I just did. I held onto that bag in my pocket, palm sweating the whole ride home. When I get home, I open the bag and dump some golden flakes and powder on my glass coffee table. At this point, I don't even know what to do. I know you can snort heroin, but it looked all flaky, so I try to remember how they did it in the movies, but they always seem to inject it in film, so I start Googling how to snort heroin like an idiot and do a little research on the stuff and how much they take. I used a card to get it into a fine powder and move a small bump to the side which I inhaled through a dollar bill. I didn't feel anything yet, so I snorted a small line which was essentially half the bag. There was very little inside. I waited, and in a few minutes I had the most pleasurable feeling of pure relaxation and bliss wash over me. I just sat there, and everything felt amazing. I nodded off, and it was great. I had the TV on but wasn't paying attention. I must have sat around for 4 hours doing nothing but feel total pleasure. It was a full-body orgasm times 10 that kept going on and on. When I would nod off, it felt like I was in a pure conscious lucid dream-like state. Sometimes it felt like I was leaving my body. At this point, I did the rest of it and stayed up all night. It must have been high for 10 hours straight. I might have slept at one point. It's hard to tell the difference when you nod off and everything feels good regardless. Just the feeling of being under a blanket was amazing. I was blown away by the power of this drug and just how orgasmic it felt. I never understood why people did drugs before and got so hooked on them, but now I see why. I have the urge to do it again, but I will resist and not do it, at least not for a long time. I understand the addiction potential and how someone could easily tear apart their lives with this stuff. Heroin is pure powdered pleasure. I actually feel proud of myself for having the balls to do something like this crazy, and I feel like it was a valuable life experience and my window into another world and part of society. I will never forget the day I did heroin. Now, ask me anything. At this point, as you might have guessed, he had no idea what kind of path he just stepped onto. For him, it was just a drug. Just another story to throw into the internet void. In Reddit, yeah, Reddit eats that stuff up. So, in classic Reddit fashion, the post blew up. Within minutes, the comments came flooding in. Questions, reactions, advice. Everyone had something to say. And for a moment, it was like he wasn't alone in it. What's crazy is people were actually supporting him, cheering him on even, which, if you really stop and think about it, is kind of insane. But then again, it's Reddit. So at this point, are we even surprised? That thread slowly turned into a safe haven. Addicts from all over started showing up, sharing their own stories, connecting in the comments. A user named Test450 replied by saying, "Just wanted to let you know you sound exactly like I did when I first did dope. Same optimistic and sense of self-control that us thrill seekers have. Smart enough to rationalize and study exactly what was going on. That was over $500,000 ago. I was a CIO and built a very successful company while hiding track marks. Eventually, it all fell apart. I OD'd several times and now I steal from my best friend and hate myself." Spontaneous H replied by saying, "No offense here, but I can't tell if this post is trolling or sincere. If it is sincere, my heart goes out to you." People weren't just commenting, they were genuinely connecting. One guy even popped in mid-trip to join the conversation, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, imagine being so deep in a high that you decide right then and there to hop on Reddit and chat about it. Jason Dukes: "I am on my 27th hour without no boy, dog food, Hollywood, or whatever you want to call heroin. I hate how I can taste my breath without the vapors of heroin in it. My life is fucked. I hate looking around me. Foivkoi. Kiss my ass, all you motherfuckers." So yeah, safe to say, the whole thread was a little unhinged, or as the video title is, deranged. Eventually, some people started saying awful things to Spontaneous H, stuff like, "You're definitely going to get addicted," or "You'll end up dead in a ditch," which, I mean, they weren't exactly wrong. They were trying to steer him in the right direction, but the way they said it, yeah, not great. So to respond to all these comments, Spontaneous H decided to update the post itself, instead of replying to all of them individually. Edit: "Please, no more comments telling me I'm going to be a homeless addict dying of an overdose now. Don't lecture me with all of your misconceptions and lack of any real knowledge or experience about the drug. I understand if you know someone who has been hurt by it. We all do. Any drug can ruin lives. Please ask me questions instead of trying to lecture me and do some research first before spewing lies. Update 2. I don't regret this at all, and I see a lot of talk about how cocaine isn't as bad as heroin and people telling anyone considering trying a hard drug to do coke instead. I've known and seen a lot of heavy coke users, many who have become addicted and OD'd, and I find it disturbing that people think coke is acceptable because some higher class circles find it socially acceptable. I'm thinking the young Wall Street and college crowds here who associate with money and being cool and is easily manageable to use for recreation, while society tells them that heroin is for the poor and destitute and leads to automatic addiction and suffering. So I plan to try cocaine the next chance I get and compare the two in terms of effects and experience. Doing heroin was memorable and life-changing, and I know I can handle anything once. I've done my research on coke and know the risks. So if anyone has any questions or opinions on that matter, feel free to chime in. Whether it is to tell me I'm a fucking idiot or to give me advice, whatever. This is an experiment and an adventure in life. I'll report back once I try it. Yeah, he wasn't stopping. He was doubling down. He had fully convinced himself that he wouldn't get addicted to heroin. And now he wanted to try cocaine because in his mind, he was untouchable. Like addiction just wasn't something that could happen to him. And that's where he messed up. It all came crashing down when only 2 weeks after the first post, another post was made from his account. 2 weeks ago, I tried heroin once for fun and May didn't ask me anything. I've been using since and shot up for the first time today. Ask me anything. Fucking, I'm still withdrawing, throwing up and sweating out gallons of sweat. I really want to use and relapse right now. I know I shouldn't. These urges are so strong and overpowering. Please help me if you can before I get the chance to. He was in a very bad place now. And this is where the real spiral began. 1,000 comment update. Fuck my life. I wish I was trolling and this was all some elaborate lie. I was doing everything right, have been clean, and somehow a rumor got out that I've been using and my girlfriend found out, and she basically broke up with me last night, but is now putting that decision on hold. I have some serious unrelated business/work I need to attend to in 2 hours, and I don't know if I'll be in any state to be able to and be ready. I can't stop crying. Fuck heroin. Fuck my life. I guess I don't need to say that since heroin pretty much fucked my life for me in under 2 weeks. I just want to die. NA update. Went to NA. I shared my story and it seemed to hit a lot of people. I cried. I got a lot of support and numbers and felt like I'm in a good place and truly believe I never have to use again. I will be going back. Update #whatever. I slept for about 30 hours, sweat out my entire body, and now I feel okay. I also took a shit for the first time in like a week, which is pretty awesome. I can stop this on my own. I don't even think I need NA, but I'm not ruling it out. I have no craving or desire to do heroin. I'm sure some of you will be quick to say I need real support, and maybe you're right, but right now, I think I'll be okay. New update. I appreciate all the genuine concern and advice. I finished my stash. Bad idea, but too late. Threw out my needles, and I'm too faded to respond to comments for now. When I sober up in a couple hours, I'll check out some NA meetings. Edit. I nodded off after taking another hit at 4 a.m. and couldn't be bothered to look at this anymore, and just woke up sore with a headache. For those of you who think I'm a troll because I can do heroin and type well with good grammar, fuck off. It's not that hard if you type slowly and carefully without looking at the screen. The screen is a blur and too bright. And it's challenging, but I would rather post coherently than like an idiot. I know it's hard to believe someone dumb enough to do heroin is intelligent in other regards. Comments disintegrated into mindless bandwagon accusations of being a troll. I wanted to engage in a discussion and know I need help, and my mind isn't exactly right. I'll sift through the posts and respond to the genuine ones once I feel better. For people calling fake, is this proof enough for you? Do you want to see my track marks too? They're not pretty, and this is under 24 hours after first shooting up. I'm not proud of any of this and posted it here because I can't tell anyone in my life and don't want to keep it to myself. I figured doing another Ask Me Anything would give me the opportunity to talk about my issues anonymously and help realize the extent of my problem through feedback. The assholes saying this is all fake trolling can fuck themselves. People can post about being prostitutes and all sorts of things that harm a large number of other people, but dismiss someone on the track to becoming an addict who needs help and just wants to talk, and maybe help some other people from making the same mistakes. I appreciate the people giving legitimate advice and asking questions. I'm going to the next NA meeting I can find. At this point, it wasn't just the addiction he was fighting, he was also dealing with a swarm of internet trolls. Documenting everything online might have seemed like a good idea at first, but it ended up making things worse for him. Sure, a few people were still trying to help, but most of the replies, just people clowning on him, calling him a junkie, tearing him down. And in this next update, you could really feel it. He admitted how hard it was all getting, mentally, physically, everything. It wasn't just about the drugs anymore. He was breaking down. I know there will be a lot of people telling me I told you so and urging me to seek help. And they are right. That's all good, and trust me, I know the danger I am in of ruining my life, and let's please keep this as an AMA first and foremost. I'll be checking out NA meeting this week, and I know I'm on the fast track to becoming an addict, and I want to stop it before it gets out of control, and I'm physically addicted. No one in my life can know about this, and I want to stop before it's too late. I've been using for 2 to 3 day periods, then taking a couple days off, then using again. The breaks were in part to try not to get hooked, and in part because I had an unreliable dealer who charged me more than double what I should be paying. I got ripped off several times when I tried to buy it off the street. My former dealer is the guy who I first bought from. Today, I met a guy through some internet channels who said he could get bundles, 10 small bags of heroin for significantly less than half the price my old dealer gave me on his most fair deal. He also happened to be an IV user and had a stash of sealed needles and supplies and offered to shoot me up. I had kind of hoped I would find someone who would, and he was a pro finding my small hidden veins and injecting a bag in one shot. To quote Trainspotting, take the best orgasm you've ever had, multiply it by 1,000, and you're still nowhere near it. He gave me some new needles and tourniquets, and when I got home, I tried to do it to myself. After not hitting a vein countless times, I finally got a red flag and was good to go. I've injected 5 bags since 4 p.m., the last one a little less than an hour ago, and I'm tempted to do one more. Ask me anything. Forgive me for any delays if I nod off. Then a user who claimed to be an IV user jumped on the thread to make the dread even worse for him by dropping a comprehensive list of what Spontaneous H had coming. Oh dear, I'm an IV morphine addict, so I know where you're coming from. In my opinion, there's no going back now. You're going to be in for one hell of a ride. So you found heroin. You know you like it. Hell, you love it. Like the chase. Like the catch. Like the high. Opiates are like kissing God, and once you've tried them, there's no going back. If you don't clean up now, or clean up soon, Within a month, this is what you can expect. After a few days of continuous use, you'll become physically dependent. The withdrawals from opiates are like the high, but turned inside out. Imagine how much pleasure you get when you push the plunger all the way down and you feel the smack hit your brain, and you just melt. Now turn it inside out. You can expect to be pissing out your ass, freezing cold, yawning nonstop, drippy nose, muscles and bones feel like they're breaking and spontaneously combusting, no sleep, severe depression, and ideas of S-word. The list goes on. Second, be prepared to lose everything that you have. You will lose your job, your family, your friends, your possessions, your apartment, everything. The longer you keep going, the more you lose. Eventually, once you've lost all your possessions in the physical realm, then the smack will take your soul with it. The list just goes on, and honestly, it's hard to read. It's heavy, depressing, and just hard to take in. This guy wasn't there to sugarcoat anything. He wasn't pretending to be supportive just for the sake of it. He wanted Spontaneous H to see how dark of a path he was on, to snap out of it before it got even worse. Thanks for the response. I'm learning how hard this is more and more every moment. I haven't used since I said I stopped yet. Things seem to keep getting worse. I want to die. Just staying alive to go to meetings is enough of a challenge. I can't handle work right now. My romantic life is going to shit and I'm trying to salvage it. I can't deal with education now. It seems everything has completely deteriorated. Then, for a while, he went ghost. Some people thought that the worst had happened, that he had fallen even deeper into the spiral and went off the grid, or worse, something terrible had happened to him. However, later he came back with another post. I tried heroin a month ago, made an Ask Me Anything, got addicted and started injecting, and just started Suboxone treatment. Ask Me Anything. But this post didn't go as planned because half of the thread was filled with people calling him a liar, despite the fact that he literally posted a picture of his stash with needles in his last post. After that post flopped, Spontaneous H just disappeared. No updates, no replies, nothing. He was completely off the grid, and no one knew what happened. For a whole year, the account had no update. However, he came back with an update, and just as everyone had expected, things were not good. Ask Me Anything. Patient in a psychiatric hospital. I was also technically dead last week. Ask Me Anything. I am in one of the nation's finest hospitals and get internet access in 30-minute intervals before having to restart my browsing session, which is kind of annoying, along with the pesky web filter. I'll be very grateful if anyone can help me get around it. All proxies I have tried are blocked. If you're reading this and know me, you probably already know who I am. Ask Me Anything. Edit. I can't believe it has been over 1 year since I discovered heroin and did the Ask Me Anythings on here, after first trying it and several months later. Time flies when you're an addict. At this point, it was clear his whole life had completely fallen apart. It was wild to think about because at the very start of the story, he was so sure, so confident he wouldn't get addicted. What followed was a full-blown spiral. The full definition of a spiral. One that wrecked his life and dragged him into some of the darkest places a person can go. And just like that, he vanished again. And after 7 long years, he came back. Just one post. One final update to say he was alive. And this time, he was actually doing okay. Spontaneous H 7 years later. Update for anyone who stumbles upon this account in the future. I don't know if anyone here remembers me, but you can look through my submissions history and get an idea. It's not pretty, and will take you through a journey of my first time trying heroin to my life quickly falling apart. So take that as a warning. It's graphic. I was totally out of my mind, and you may not want to read it depending on where you're at. This is the first time I've logged into this account in a couple years, and I had a bunch of PMs, and people occasionally mention this account in various places on Reddit, so I'll post a quick update here for anyone who stumbles upon this in the future. I'm now almost 6 years clean from all drugs and alcohol, and life is good. It's too difficult for me to go back and even read most of what I originally wrote 7 years ago. Maybe one day I'll be able to. I don't even remember what I said in the first post, but I know I can look back objectively and say that things probably weren't as good and normal before I tried heroin that time, as I made it seem in that first post. There were certainly warning signs before that with alcohol, weed, and other things that I had issues with substances, although I probably couldn't admit it to myself at that time. I would have never even tried it if things were truly going well for me. What followed in the later posts with where it took me was very real. Thanks for everyone who has reached out over the years. I hope everyone here is able to find recovery and get the help they need. Incredibly shiny shark, Now, this story's a little shorter, but I had to include it in the video because it gives you a glimpse into just how wild the human mind can really be. Hi all, I am a man who ate a portion of his own amputated leg. Ask me anything. Yeah, he ate his own leg. And the craziest part is that he was so chill about it. So the quick and dirty. About 2 years ago, I was hit on my motorcycle. They salvaged my foot, but I was never able to walk on it. I elected to have it amputated. I asked the doctors to keep it. I signed some papers. Not a big deal. Before this post, he had made another post showing an x-ray of his foot, which was completely destroyed because of the accident. Oh man, I saw we were doing x-rays. Here's mine. So yeah, after the surgery, he actually got his amputated foot back from the doctors, and I don't know what was going through his head, but he decided he was going to cook it and eat it. I got it back, and with the help of some friends, cooked a portion of the tibialis anterior. And then came the proof, because let's be real, there's no way anyone was going to believe him. So in classic Reddit fashion, he attached some pictures to the post, and I'm not going to do that because that is disgusting. I'm not going to include the pictures because that's beyond gross. Edit. I taste like buffalo, but chewier. Super beefy and little fat. So obviously, Reddit had questions. One user, Rickley Pickley, jumped in and asked, did eating your own flesh ethically or morally bother you then or now? And how about your friends that also tried it? To which Incredibly Shiny Shark replied by saying, no, it was from a healthy part of the amputation. I'm a healthy person. Waste not, want not. And they all consented. As far as I know, they are all still cool with it. It's a fun, weird thing. This guy ate his own leg or foot and acted like he just made dinner for the boys. And yeah, that sounds crazy, but for some people, life has been so weird and so messed up that nothing shocks them anymore. So yeah, legend, but in the most deranged and unhinged way. I love roach. Alright, so as the username suggests, this guy really loved roaches. Like, really loved them. The post came 11 years ago from I Love Roach in the Today I Fucked Up subreddit. And I'm just gonna say it up front, trigger warning, because this story goes off the rails fast. Today I fucked up by admitting to my girlfriend that I pretend she is a giant cockroach when we have sex. Ever since I was a teenager, I've had very intense fantasies about having sex with a giant roach. It started in 9th or 10th grade when we read The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. As I started to think more and more about the roach creature that the character had become, I started to imagine what it'd be like if a woman turned into the roach instead. I found this idea very arousing. I would not be repulsed or frightened of her, as the characters in the story are. I would take care of her. Then my thoughts started to get sexual with the character. Eventually, I sort of dropped the bit about her having been a human woman first, and I kind of imagined this fictionalized roach species. They're giant roaches, the size of a person, and have complete intelligence. I kind of, over time, conjured up an imaginary friend of sorts. She was one of these roaches, and her name was Agatha. I would fantasize about her often. And then he just went on this weird rant, drooling over how Agatha was better than actual women, like fully convinced she was superior in every way. It was disturbing, to say the least. But then the post takes a very deep turn. He reveals something big. So anyways, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for about a year. 3 or 4 times I have tried to have sex with her and not pretend she is Agatha, but I just can't do it. So essentially, every time we have sex, I am imagining she's Agatha. I finally confided this to her the other day, and I was blown away by her reaction. I thought she might take it a bit badly at first, but then she'd get used to it. No, I've never seen such a look of disgust before. Outraged is not an understatement. She is not even returning my text now. I'm afraid she is going to break up with me, and also that is going to tell people about Agatha. I don't know how I'll face anyone. This is going to sound silly, but I also feel guilty about feeling shame, as if Agatha will be saddened by this. Even though I know she's imaginary, I just don't know what to do at this point. Now, I genuinely don't know what this guy was thinking. The comments under this thread were hilarious. 5 years after that first post, he came back, again. And this time, he revealed that after fumbling his real-life girlfriend because of his imaginary roach girlfriend, he'd also managed to fumble pretty much everything else too. Today, I fucked up by admitting to my coworkers that my wife, Agatha, is an imaginary giant roach, an update of sorts to my prior Today I Fucked Up from 5 years ago. Hello. 5 years ago, I submitted the story of me telling my then girlfriend that when we made love, I was envisioning her as a giant roach. In the 5 years that have passed since this topic was posted, I decided to stop fooling myself, and I just committed to my love to Agatha. I know she is not real per se, but in my head, she is an actual personality, and I am in love with that personality. I don't care if she is a roach or if she is an imaginary. The love is real. Call me deluded, but it's harmless. It makes me happy. I've not had a real girlfriend again since that incident 5 years ago, but occasionally I've had one-night stands via online apps with the understanding of it being one night in advance. And on these times, I always envisioned the woman as Agtha, my sensual roach queen. Yeah, I'm not, kink shaming or anything, but he's basically gone off the rails. The thing about it, though, is that I became so in love with my Agtha that I married her. I even did a little ceremony in my living room. I recited my own vows, and she recited hers. I even went on a honeymoon, which technically you could say was a solo vacation to New Orleans for a week, but in my mind, Agtha was with me the entire time. In my mind, I think of her as my wife. Now, here's where I fucked up. I got so used to thinking of her as my wife in my head that a few months ago at work, I nonchalantly said, my wife, in some innocuous sentence. I think it was something like, oh yeah, me and my wife love that show, in regards to Chopped. So now everyone was asking me about my wife because they had never heard I was married or even dating anymore. Everyone kept pestering me, wanting to know about her, wanting to see pictures. I became full of panic. I did the one thing I swore I would never do again. I talked to other people about Agtha in real life. We were at the team lunch, and I just let it all spill out. I told them about how I became enamored as a teenager with the Franz Kafka story, how my fantasy evolved into an actual imaginary entity with a personality, and how I slowly began to grow in love with her. What started as a more sexual attraction to giant roaches blossomed into a whirlwind romance, and that she became the love of my life. Even though her existence was in my own mind, at first they thought I was doing a creepy joke, but I convinced them I was telling the truth. Well, they were afraid and disgusted. I've been a pariah at work ever since. Everybody steers clear of me. We used to have a good social life. Now people only speak to me for work-related reasons. Even working virtually now, nobody sends me a Slack message unless it is about work. I even heard a rumor that people went to HR, but they were of course told nothing could be done. I've lost my good work friends because of this, and it is indeed jeopardizing my career, because my bosses think I'm insane. I've ruined my friendships and future career prospects due to my honesty. If you must know, I do hope that, even if I'm an old man, that one day the technology is invented to extract the Agtha personality from my mind and implant it into a real external body, either of a genetically engineered or a mechanical nature, and me and Agtha can then experience genuine physical connection. But if she must remain within me, that is fine. Her love keeps me warm on the coldest of nights. Thank you. I still can't quite pin down what was actually wrong with this guy. There were clearly multiple things going on, and from the way he wrote, you could tell he'd consumed way too much cinema and literature. He kept throwing in references to movies, books, and even obscure characters, like he was living in some alternate storyline he had made up in his head. But nope, the story does not end there. Just a year later, he came back to Reddit again, and after already ruining his social life, love life, and basically everything else, he had somehow managed to mess things up even more. This time, he revealed Agtha to his parents. Today I fucked up by telling my parents that I'm married to an imaginary giant roach, my beloved Agtha. A few of you may recall some years ago I posted about my lovely Agtha. You can find in my post history. My news story requires an explanation of Agtha for those who don't know. I will try to be brief. I love Agtha, and she loves me. Some time ago I married her. Now, from a strictly legal sense, no, I am not married per se, but for me and Agtha, we consider our relationship to be a marriage. I am devoted to her, and her to me. I revealed this to my coworkers, and it did not go well, but I thought my parents had a right to know. Last evening, I revealed to them everything about Agtha, and told them we were married. I even allowed Agtha to speak through me to them, so that she could finally meet my parents after only seeing them from afar. Lady Collywobbles. Out of all the absolute burning questions I have, when he allowed Agtha to speak through him, to them, did she speak in human or like clicking noises or whatever sounds a cockroach makes? I can't sleep. I knew my parents would find it unusual at first, but I thought they would come to understand and be happy for me. However, I fear they may think I am deranged. My mother actually cried, and not tears of happiness as I expected. They even encouraged me to seek counseling. I explained to them what I was experiencing is real, and encouraged them to read through the Tulpa Reddit. It had created a very bad situation for me, and now I fear my relationship with my parents is quite ruined. They keep insisting I seek counseling, and are threatening if I don't, they will no longer assist with my student loans and will not be welcome at Thanksgiving. I feel they are overreacting, but at the same time, I wish I just kept my marriage a secret. I do consider it now to be fucked up to be truthful to my parents. They are in some ways traditionalists and are simply not ready to understand how entities can exist without physical form and share a mind. It breaks my heart, but I wish I had been deceitful with my family. For the record, I will never divorce Agtha, and with our love, I know I can survive anything, but I wish I had never been truthful with my parents. That ended up being the last post we ever got from the account. After that, Reddit suspended it, which honestly, makes sense. The whole situation was just deeply deranged. This was someone clearly struggling with serious mental issues, and whatever line separates reality from fiction, for him, that line was long gone. We don't know where he is now, whether he's still with Agtha or if he finally got help. But wherever he is, I genuinely hope he's doing better, even if he did traumatize the entire Reddit community for 11 straight years. And all right, guys, that wraps up some deranged Reddit users. Let me know what you thought about these ones. I mean, the first one with the heroin user was very, very, impactful, sad, depressing. And the last one was, still kind of similar, but a little bit more, I don't know. It was very strange. I think these were very deranged users, and that kind of perfectly sums up today's video. It was deranged, and the video title, Deranged Reddit Users. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts. I read every single comment. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know. Thank you so much for watching the channel. Go check out another video if you enjoyed this one. And this was Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.